Number 7. Savannah, Georgia. Savannah has been called the city built upon its dead. Houses and squares have been built over mass graves from the Revolutionary War. It's not surprising, then, that the city has countless haunted locations. The Lucas Theater opened in 1921, closed in 1976, after showing The Exorcist, and reopened in 2001. During the restoration, unexplainable occurrences were noted by the workers, applause would be heard, and tools disappeared. The Colonial Park Cemetery, opened in 1750, is said to be a regular site of voodoo rituals. Visiting mourners found remnants from the ceremonies before the cemetery began being closed at night. Number 6. Athens, Ohio. The Athens Lunatic Asylum was built in 1874 and was also known as the Ridges. Patients were treated with ice water baths, electric shocks, and lobotomies. In addition to the mentally ill, the facility housed the elderly and rebellious teenagers. The asylum also features 2 haunted cemeteries. One of the cemetery's headstones form a circle which was allegedly used by witches to perform their rites. One of the ghosts said to haunt the Ridges is Margaret Schilling, a patient who mysteriously disappeared in 1978. Her body was found a month later, and the outline of where she lay was stained into the ground. After it was removed, Margaret's shape returned over and over again. Number 5. Rome, Italy. Rome has many ghost stories, and it's no wonder why. The whole city sits on catacombs, and many gruesome things have taken place there, like the execution of Beatrice Cenci. Beatrice was 22 years old when she was imprisoned in Castel Sant'Angelo for killing her abusive husband and later executed. It is said that her ghost walks Sant'Angelo Bridge every year on September 11th, with her head under her arm. There are many scary places in Rome to visit, but none of them are creepier than the museum and crypt of the Capuchins. The skeletons of more than 400 monks decorate the crypt. Chandeliers are made out of leg and arm bones, and skulls are embedded in the walls. Number 4. Paris, France. Paris is famous for its catacombs, but it has many more creepy places. In Le Musée des Vampires, you can visit the world's only real vampire hunter and his finds. Or you can venture to Chanoines to visit the ghost of the man who was the inspiration for Sweeney Todd. He was a local barber who killed his victims, boiled their bodies, and finally served their meat in patty. Number 3. Edinburgh, Scotland. The capital of Scotland has a very long and gruesome history. Look no further than the South Bridge Vaults. Built in the 18th century, the vaults were meant to house taverns and cobblers, but after a flood killed many poor souls in 1975, they were abandoned. The vaults remained forgotten until homelessness became a crime punishable by death. The poor went into the vaults, and the legal business soon spread in as well, including several brothels. The infamous body snatchers Burke and Hare reportedly hunted their victims in the vaults and sold their corpses to medical schools. Paranormal activity has become a nearly day-to-day occurrence in Edinburgh Castle. The staff has become accustomed to hearing music, footsteps, and voices. Another ghostly place is Greyfriars Kirkyard. Many famous people have been laid to rest here, and part of this cemetery is supposedly haunted by a poltergeist. Visitors strolling around the cemetery have left with bruises, scratches, and cuts. Number 2. London, England. London has a reputation of being one of the most haunted capitals in the world and features countless ghost stories. Another prominent ghost is the Highgate Vampire. The Highgate Cemetery was abandoned in the 1960s and left to decay. In its time, it was the most fashionable place to be buried, and Victorian families tried to outdo one another with elaborate gravestones and crypts. Several reports of ghostly encounters exist, many of them concerning the Highgate Vampire. Number 1. New Orleans, Louisiana. New Orleans is one of the most haunted cities in the world. Founded in 1718, it has seen more than a little bloodshed. It's probably the only place in the world where an allegedly haunted house is actually more expensive than a normal one. New Orleans is the city of voodoo, and Voodoo Queen Mariel Laveau rests in St. Louis Cemetery, the most haunted cemetery in the world. She is said to wander the cemetery on John's Eve, June 23. Phantoms of yellow fever victims and fallen Civil War soldiers have been reported countless times at the cemetery. The house of Madame Delphine Lalaurie in a famous haunted mansion in the French Quarter. After a fire destroyed parts of the house, a torture chamber was discovered in the attic. Madame Lalaurie tortured slaves, cut them open alive, experimented on them, and removed body parts. Allegedly, the ghosts of the slaves still haunt the mansion.